Hello and welcome to Tuesday Tips Live from Digital DJ Tips. It's Phil here in the studio as ever on a Tuesday at this time. It's where we bring you updates on what's going on in the world of DJing, what's been happening this week, and answer all your questions about a burning topic or a tip or a trick or something in the news. And it is something in the news this week that we're talking about. We're talking about the Pioneer DDJ-800 controller, that device that I opened with, this one here, which has just been launched today. And this is quite an exciting new controller for Pioneer fans, and it's starting to fill out their range of new controllers to replace the last generation. This is pitched underneath their DDJ-1000 controller, which I have here in the studio with me. And we're going to talk about it today, but especially we're going to talk about comparing it to the DDJ-1000 that I have here. If you're now considering buying one or the other, the point of today's Tuesday Tips Live is to answer those questions for you. So a few bits of housekeeping to start off with. If you are watching this on YouTube or on Facebook as a repeat, if you just click play on a video and you're not watching this live, that's awesome. But just to let you know, this is a show, not a 5-minute video. We go on for 30, 40 minutes. We answer a lot of questions. We go over stuff again. So this is a show you're watching. Please don't get in the comments and say, get to the point. That's not the point. The point is this is live. This is about you guys and girls watching live. And I've got you here on the iPad as ever. I'll be reading out your shouts. I'll be answering your questions and so on. So just to make that clear. And if you are watching the replay, then why didn't you see it live? I'll tell you why. It's because you're not subscribed. So click the subscribe button and click the bell on YouTube. Click like for the page on Facebook, and make sure on Facebook you click show our posts first in your settings as well. And that means that when this goes live, you will know and you'll be able to come and join us live, which is what we want, because it goes wrong about 1 time in 3. And hey, you get to watch me making a total fool of myself in public. So what could be better than that? If you are new to this, we are Digital DJ Tips. I'm looking for a copy of the book. I don't seem to have one nearby. I normally do, don't I? Out of disorganized today. We are the authors of the Rock the Dance Floor book, which you can get on Amazon and on Kindle and on Audible and the iTunes store and all those places, even in your local bookshop. Rock the Dance Floor is the guide to how to become a DJ. We're behind it. Part of what we do though is sell DJ training to people like you. We've got about 18 DJ courses in total, covering everything from total beginners to making a career of this. But the other side of what we do is our website and our free training. And this is part of our free training. Every week we try and deliver as much as we can on our channels to you guys and girls for nothing. And hopefully you'll find it useful. And one day, grab one of our courses, which means we can help you even more. Right, so that's about us if you're new to the channel. If you're one of our regulars, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a shout out before we get stuck into looking at this unit, the DDJ-800 from Pioneer DJ, which has just dropped today and is going to be the subject of our Tuesday Tips Live. So a few early shout outs then. Going to Vcash, who says, what does it go for? We'll be covering that. Mix and Dell says, how much will it be? And is it a good step up from the Newmark MixTrack Pro 3? We'll be covering that. It's definitely a good step up from the Pro 3. Lots and lots and lots of questions. I still cannot sort out how to record a podcast using the microphone on a Mac, says Konstantinos. We can't go into that today, but please do let us know exactly what's going on there and we'll try and help you. Hello to Jason, hello to Kendrick, who says, I'm in Forest Hills, Texas. So it's good to have you here, Kendrick. And Eric says, I'm listening while at work. Well, it's always good to know that. And just a few quick shouts coming in over on the Facebook page as well. That was from YouTube. Before we get started with talking about this unit. So on Facebook, lots and lots and lots of you commenting already, which is great to see. Hello to Todd. To Laurie, always good to have you here, Laurie. To Del Sang, always good to have you here. To Kyle from Alabama, USA. To DJ Heat Mick Cobe. To Angelo, says hello, hello. It's always good to have you here, Angelo. To DJ Indy, good to have you here. Tardy Tuesday Tips, boss, says Faye. Yes, it is a tardy Tuesday Tips, but hey, it's been a tardy week so far, hasn't it, team? Trying to get everything fitted in. Peter says, I love this channel. It's very helpful. Thank you for that, Peter. Steve says, it looks like the same old for me with this DDJ-800. This is what we're talking about, by the way, folks. The DDJ-800 from Pioneer, which has just been launched. And just to make it clear, we don't have it in the studio yet. Our one is on its way as we speak to Joey in Manila, who will be reviewing it, but we do have an awful lot of info to share with you on the unit. Good day from Frosty Yellowknife, says Dave. Much love from Canada, says Steve. Hi, says Nikki. Hi, says Marius. And hi, says Mark. Lots and lots of you here. So please do ask questions about this unit, because that's what we're here for. We're here to answer your questions about it. What we're going to do today for the next half hour or so is talk about the new Pioneer. Let me just move out the way and get it on the big screen here for you. We're going to talk about this unit here, the new Pioneer DDJ-800. We're going to be comparing it to the Pioneer DDJ-1000, which I have here in the studio with me. So we'll be comparing it to this, what's different about it, what's the same about it. We'll be covering all that stuff, but also we're going to be answering your questions as well. So any questions, whether you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook, please just let us know underneath and I will get to them. But if you're not watching live, please still ask your questions, because my team and I do keep an eye on the comments on both those channels at all times. Okay, this is it, the Pioneer DDJ-800, launched today. It's very similar to the Pioneer DDJ-1000 in a lot of ways. So let's talk about it. They both use Rekordbox to start with, which is Pioneer DJ's software platform. So Rekordbox is a bit like Serato or Traktor, but they use Rekordbox. They both have the new style of layout, which is the one that Pioneer is starting to prefer. So this is important because most DJ controllers aren't laid out like this. These controllers, including this one, are laid out in a way which is more similar to pro club gear. So what does that mean? Well, it's little things like the Jog Wheel style and so on, but bigger things like they lose the big effects section at the top. So let me switch over to the DDJ-1000 down here. And on this unit, I'll talk you through it. So most DJ controllers that are made to work with a laptop, at the top here, they have effects sections. They're pretty cool, but they're also pretty hard to use compared to what you get in a DJ booth. So on a DJ booth mixer, you get very simple effects like these ones here. So we all know the filter. So you probably already have these if you have a reasonably modern DJ controller, because they're starting to incorporate these as well. A noise, and there's a couple of others as well here. These are called sound color effects. They're called different things by different manufacturers, but they also have this effects unit down here. So this one is about 14 effects here that you can cycle through. And this layout, stop that playing, this layout having the effects down the side of the mixer and the effects, which they call sound color, on those knobs. This is very Pioneer. And this is what the new Pioneer controllers, including this one here, this one, let me try and get that on, there we go, including this one, that's how they lay themselves out. So the DDJ-800 is very, very similar in that respect to the DDJ-1000, and indeed it's very, very similar to the DDJ-400, which is the other one in the range. So you've got the 400 at the bottom, you've now got the 800, and the 1000 I've got here. They're all laid out in that kind of way. Now this one has got very, very few effects down this patch here and very few effects on these knobs here, but the point is that's the way they're laid out. You get more or less of what's going on there, but it's a thing that makes them separate from other people's controllers. So that's another place where the DDJ-800 is similar to the DDJ-1000 and the 400. So they both have the full central color display. So you can see in the middle of the jog wheels here, you've got that central display that's giving you information on the track you're currently playing, and also just cosmetically you get a picture of the record sleeve as well, which is quite nice. So they both have pro inputs and outputs. So the DDJ-1000 here and the DDJ-800 here both have really good quality pro inputs and outputs. So we're talking line and phono inputs on the back. We're talking outputs for booth and also balanced and unbalanced outputs for your master output. A couple of microphone inputs, which take all kinds of microphones. So they've got what you'd expect on the inputs and outputs for your audio of a pro controller. So you're not losing any of that on this compared to this. So they both have the full effects I just talked to you about, the sound color and down here. And by full, I mean you get 14 down here. So down here being this bit here on this controller, this bit here, you get 14, and you get the full 4 here. And these are all adjustable within the software. So this is something which is, you don't lose out on this one. You don't lose out on here. It's got exactly the same as this, which is cool. But there is a limitation, which we're going to talk about in a minute. They're both standalone mixers, which means that they'll also work with DVS, which means you can use your turntables and vinyl and so on. You have to buy the upgrade, the Plus Pack from Pioneer DJ for the software that comes with them. You don't get that in the box. But that's no different on the DDJ-1000 to the DDJ-800, so you can use it as a DVS system as well. And they both have similar sound quality specs. We had a look at the sound card and the sound quality, and they're practically exactly the same. So this doesn't sound any worse than this as well. So in a lot of ways, it looks the same, it feels the same to the DDJ-1000. It's similar, but there's a lot of differences. So we're going to spend the rest of our time now together talking through the differences, and we've listed 20 of them. So I'm going to bang through those for you to help you make a decision as to which one is going to be right for you. Before we do that though, I just want to grab your comments coming in live and maybe some questions I can answer. The analog vinyl preamps are the pits on the DDJ-1000, says Chris. I've been very happy with the DDJ-1000 conversely, says Derek. Those jog displays look way brighter than the actual unit, says Chris. It's probably just our lighting or cameras or something, Chris. Mark says, I've been considering getting a Pioneer controller, but I'm looking for something like Pioneer to get me into clubs and club setups. Would this controller be something that would benefit me? The price seems attractive, but I'm used to Serato. Would Rekordbox be easy to learn? Yes, Rekordbox would be easy to learn. Yes, to an extent, the layout of controllers like this one here will kind of prepare you and the 800 for clubs. But to be honest with you, it's more about learning how to beat mix when things go wrong and stuff like that. That's going to prepare you better for the clubs. But no, certainly jumping from Serato to Rekordbox isn't going to be a big jump. Lots of controllers, lots of questions coming in on both platforms, but I just want to get into those differences now, and we'll come back to your questions in a little bit. So let me just switch over to those 20 differences. There's no way I'm going to remember them all, so I've listed them down here. So the first big difference, obviously, on this, it's got 2 channels, and this one's got 4 channels. So that's 2 physical channels up the middle. Now, both of them can control 4 decks. How? Because this one has got layer buttons, so you can say, okay, I want the left-hand channel to control deck 3 now instead of deck 1, and the right-hand channel to control deck 4 instead of deck 2. But nonetheless, it's only got 2 physical channels. Now that means, of course, if you're using it standalone, if you're plugging around the back, CDJs or whatever, you can only plug 2 things and DJ with 2 things easily around the back. So that's one of the biggest and most obvious differences. Is it a downside? Not for a lot of people. A lot of people only use 2 channels. So you're getting a smaller, lighter, cheaper unit. You're not losing anything there. And also because it's got a sampler built in, then you've got DJ drops and stuff that you usually use a 3rd or 4th deck for. Just stick them on the sampler. No problem at all. But anyway, that's a very, very big difference between the 2. So difference number 2 was the fact, well, actually it's similarity that you can control 4 decks with each of them. The auxiliary inputs, there aren't any on this one, on the DDJ-1000. Why? Because it's got 4 full channels. Around the back of this, you can plug in 4 sets of decks and, you know, CDs and all that stuff. So there's no need for an auxiliary input. Round the back of this one, there is an auxiliary input. So that means that you can plug in a couple of turntables, but you can also plug in your phone or whatever, just in case something goes wrong. So that's quite nice, and it's got its own volume control on the top of the unit as well. So there's an auxiliary input on the 800 that you don't get on the 1000. So the crossfader on this one here, the crossfader is a Magfell crossfader. On the one at the top there, the crossfader is just a generic crossfader. So you might want to keep an eye on that if you want to scratch, because the crossfader on this one is not going to be as good as the crossfader on this one. And it doesn't look like it's as easy to replace. We don't know that. By the way, we haven't got this unit. This is why I've got a picture of it. R1 is on its way from Japan to the Philippines to Joey, who will be reviewing it very soon. But right now we're just going off, specs and pictures and our knowledge of the unit as well. So, okay, let's move on. The jog wheel, this is a very, very big difference. So the jog wheel type. This jog wheel here, I'm just going to get rid of that picture there. Got a lovely new system, but it does take a little bit of getting used to. This jog wheel here, it's exactly the same, and I'm just going to put into camera this, as this jog wheel here on the DDJ-1000 Nexus 2, right? That jog there that you can see, they're the same. They're the same size. They have slightly different stuff on the displays, but they look and feel the same. You hear that? They're mechanical. That's a switch there. They are exactly the same on a DDJ-1000 as they are on a Pioneer Pro Club system. However, on this little baby, it's a different story. These jog wheels are more like standard jog wheels that you get on, for instance, this, although these are a lot bigger, but also on pretty much all controllers. So in other words, you touch the top of the jog wheel and it uses like tiny capacitor bits of electricity from your hand to know you're touching it, rather than a big mechanical switch like on this. So the jog wheel feels very different. It's not as much like a club jog wheel, and it's smaller as well. So while it's got the same display in the middle, it is more like cheaper controllers, or more like more standard controllers, and less like a club jog wheel. It's a big, big difference between the 800 up here and the 1000 down here. The jog wheel size is smaller. I'm guessing it's 5 or 6 inches on this one. It's 8 inches on this one. So again, there's a big difference there. However, one nice thing is that on this unit here, you've got the jog adjust, which means that spinning very quickly. There. That's spinning quickly, right? I can turn this and it's now really locked. But guess what? You get exactly the same thing on the other one. This one here has also got the same jog wheel adjust control. So even though it's a kind of smoother, less mechanical, less clubby feeling jog wheel, you can still adjust that tension, which is nice and it's unusual. It's not unique. I remember a very old Vestax controller, the VCI 300, and maybe some more. Not the 300, the 380 I think used to have that, but it's unusual. So that's good. You can adjust the jog wheel on this one. So what else? Big difference for laptop DJs. Around the back of this unit, you've got 2 USBs, which means you can plug 2 laptops in and DJs can switch over from person to person smoothly. Around the back of this unit, you've got 1. That means that if you want to switch from DJ to DJ, you're going to have to unplug it and the music stops unless you've got something plugged into the auxiliary to play a track away from your laptop. It's a small thing, but if you want to DJ with other DJs, this one is not as good as this one for sure. Okay, so and the halfway through our list of things that we wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to go to you live down here, talk to you, answer some questions, and I'm going to go for the second half. By the way, if you've just joined us, we're doing the 20 things that are different between the new Pioneer DDJ-800 and the Pioneer DDJ-1000. This was launched today. If you're finding this fun, by the way, people, please don't wait till the end. Hit the share button, hit the like button. I want you to get this around your DJ friends. No one else has done this comparison yet. I'd love it if you could help me get the word out there. So please do hit share on YouTube or on Facebook. I'd love you to do that for me. I'd be really pleased. Okay, so the final one before we break for your comments is that this one here and this one here have both got a standalone mixer, which is awesome, but there's a big difference. So remember I was showing you on this unit here, I was showing you the effects, these. And these ones here. Well, unfortunately, on this unit, the effects don't work on standalone. So what that means is if you plug in your decks or your CDs to this unit, then you're going to be DJing without effects as long as the laptop isn't plugged in. With your laptop plugged in, it's fine. You can use the effects just as if it was a software channel. But this one is a proper standalone mixer in that you don't need to have a laptop with you to use all those lovely effects. In other words, they're built into the hardware. In this one, to cut costs, presumably, the effects are only going on in your laptop. So therefore, if your laptop isn't there, they ain't gonna work. Other than that, it all feels very similar, but it's worth bearing that in mind. If you wanna use this one as a standalone mixer, it works fine. Without the laptop, you just won't get even the filter. There's not even a filter on there. So it's a bit of a shame that, because filters are pretty standard nowadays, right? So if you're thinking of using it standalone a lot without your laptop, that one is not as good an idea as this one here. Right, before we move on to the next 10 things, I just want to go to what you guys and girls are asking live and see if I can help you out with some stuff. I'm going to stick to my Tractor 3 1210 DVS setup, says Steve. Well, we don't ever say you should change your gear for the sake of it, so good for you, Steve. Does the 1000 have USB inputs? Yeah, of course it does, because this has to work with the laptop. There's a USB input around about there. That's how this is working with my laptop. So yes, it does. It has 2. I'm waiting for the DDJ-1000 Nexus 3, says Steve. Well, I'm sure they're coming at some point to rival the new Denon decks. It's a different conversation. Thumbs up for having a standalone mixer, says Asaish. I can't wait to switch to DVS, says Derek. Moving from Serato to Rekordbox, get the software to move the cue points as well, says DJ Flash. You can use Record Buddy software to do that. By the way, if you're a Digital DJ Lab member, we've got you an exclusive discount on Record Buddy inside Digital DJ Lab. It's our subscription program, if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's closed at the moment, but if you are one of our members, you can get a discount on Record Buddy, which is a program that lets you switch between Traktor, Rekordbox and Serato with all your cues and stuff. Anyway, I digress. How much is the DDJ-1000? $1,200 more or less. We'll get onto the prices in a bit. Neil says, hello, but I've got to go. See you soon. Always good to have you here, Neil. So for home DJ use, is the DDJ-800 good? Yes, the DDJ-800 is. This is kind of the difference. This is for, I wouldn't say this is for home. I'd say this is more for home. But I would say that, you know, this one kind of crosses over. It's semi-professional, if you like. It will work in a professional environment, but also it's a great controller to have at home. This one might be seen by people as a bit of overkill for home. Maybe not. But anyway, so I love the compact size of the new one, says DJ Flash. That's awesome. Glad you do. Right, over on YouTube, let's just catch up a little bit there before we move on to the final 10 differences between this, the DDJ-800 launched today, and this, the DDJ-1000, which has been out for a little while. So over on YouTube, will the Pioneer Record app work on the DDJ-1000 in the near future? Not sure what you're asking there, X-Base. Hertz says, is this more similar to the CDJ compared to the 1000? No, the 800 is less similar to the CDJ compared to the 1000, mainly because of the jog wheels. How is the 1000 compared to the SZ or SZ2 or the RX? It's more modern. It's more like Pioneer's club gear. How large is it compared to the 1000? That's one of the things we're coming on to, Sam, so we'll be covering that. I've never understood the appeal of standalone mixers on 2-channel controllers. You look kind of goofy with 2 CDJs on either side of a controller that you're not using, says Cole. I think it's just because a lot of people have still got CDs, they've still got decks, they sometimes want to mix with CDs and decks, especially for home use. It's nice to have everything plugged in together, but I get what you're saying there. How much is it, Matt, says Matty? We're getting onto that. The 800 looks like it's around the 700 or 900 ballpark, not far off. Okay, let's see it in action. Well, we can't show you this one in action because we ain't got it. This one here, we've just kind of given you a bit of an effects demo on. It looks amazing, says Hurt. Pioneer prices suck, says Roger. A lot of you talking about the prices there. Let us get on to the final 10 differences between these two units. We've been pouring through the specifications so you don't have to, and that's what we're presenting to you today. A comparison between the DDJ-800 that's just been launched and the DDJ-1000, which has been out for a while. One of the most popular controllers out there, by the way, by a long shot. So this one ought to do well. So moving on then, we've already covered the channels, the decks, the auxiliary inputs, the crossfader, the jog wheel type, the jog wheel size, the jog wheel feeling. We've covered the number of USBs for plugging in laptops, swapping over DJs and stuff. And we've covered the standalone mixer and its limitations. If you missed any of that, watch this from the beginning later on. All right, let's move on to the second half. So we're going to talk now about the microphone inputs. So they're pretty similar on both of these. They're both really good. So this one here has got microphone inputs for 2 microphones. One of them is on kind of Omni everything jack. You can plug in an XLR, you can plug in a TRS. The other one is just a 1/4 inch jack. But that's pretty cool. They've got all that stuff, got nice microphone control on the unit. This one here is the same. This has got something slightly different actually. It's got a mic attenuator. It's just a tiny little control, a bit like one of these. But it's on the top of the unit, on the back of the unit, and you've got a tiny little volume for each microphone on the input, so you can kind of like balance the microphones. It's a bit like the gain controls on the top of the unit, a bit like these here, but for the microphone, but hidden around the back. And apart from that, you've also got the volume controls for the microphone on the front panel of this as well. So slightly more control over the mic. It's not a big thing, but it's quite nice to see. But another bigger thing on the microphone on the DDJ-800 is that you've got a new feature in the software, which is a microphone feedback reducer. So if you've ever got some MC jumping around in front of your speakers, waving the microphone around, and you're starting to get feedback, this baby can sort it out. Now it's not on board, it's not built into it, it's actually built into the software, but this one can't take advantage of it because the microphones on this one stay in it. They don't get fed through your USB cable to the software and back again. So there's no way for the software to affect what's going on with the microphones on here. This one though, the microphones go through the software, as with the DDJ-RR actually, interestingly, for any owners of that. That will work too with this new feature. And that means that you can turn on in the software two levels, like soft or hard, of reducing feedback on the microphone. As soon as it hears feedback, it's going to cut that down and fix it for you, which I think is quite a nice feature. Now, obviously, we haven't got this yet, so we haven't tested it. But the interesting thing is, it's something that this has got that hasn't. So there you go. If you're looking for something that's better on this one, there it is. Okay, so the sound color effects we've already covered. The sound color effects on this unit, which are the effects here, they, along with the beat effects up here, only work when you haven't got only work when you've got the laptop plugged in with the DDJ-800, which is a disadvantage of this unit here. Okay, so another little disadvantage of this unit that we spotted is that the beat effects, so in other words, the effects units which on this one are up here, these effects, on this one, they cannot be routed via the microphone. You can't have the microphones going through those effects. So if you DJ with a singer, for instance, who wants you to have some kind of effect on his or her voice, you can't do that. Now, in all honesty, not a big thing, I don't think, but it's worth pointing out. You wouldn't often you wouldn't use these effects on that because of the way they work. You know, they're cyclical effects. However, it's worth pointing out there is that difference there. So another difference is that this unit here, the DDJ-1000, this has a loading area here and a loading area here for your music. In other words, you can load onto this deck with these controls independently of loading onto that deck with those controls. Okay, so over on the other unit, you don't get that. So on this unit here, you only have the one in the middle of the unit because of the size limitations, I would guess, of the device. So talking of size, this here is about 23% smaller than this, and it's a good 1.5 to 2 kilos lighter as well. So you'll really feel the difference. The DDJ-1000, you can just about pop it under your arm and get off to your gig. This one, a lot easier to do that with. So there is a difference there in size and weight on the units. The price is a big one, isn't it? The price. So this is the final thing we wanted to talk to you about. And I'm just going to zoom down so I can get them exactly right for you. So let's just talk about the prices of both units so you can compare them. So in dollars, this unit, the DDJ-1000, currently you can get for about $1,200. This unit for about $900. So there's a $300 differential between this one and this one. So all those features we've been talking about, it's going to cost you $300 more if this is what you want, or you're going to save $300 if you think this is all you want. However, it gets a little bit more interesting because our research so far, looking at Pioneer's own prices, say that in the EU and Britain, you actually save a lot more with this over that. In the EU and Britain, this one here is £779 or 949 euros. Whereas this one here is £1,129 against 779, 1,129 against 779, or 1,299 euros against 949 euros, which is, they're both big savings, but the sterling saving is a massive one. Now that could be a mistake. It could be that when they hit the shops, it doesn't quite work out like that. But certainly if you're considering that one or that one, it's worth looking at the difference in your country, because it looks like right now in the UK, this one here is going to be a lot more value than this one, certainly compared to the prices in the States. So there we go. That is the comparison of the DDJ-800 and the DDJ-1000. I'm going to grab your questions now on Facebook and over on YouTube, and I'm going to answer them all however long it takes. So hang around if you want to get your shout out, or if you want to ask questions and you've still got time to ask questions. However, I do want to tell you that if you are interested in learning to DJ with this, if you're interested in learning to DJ with that, we have got the #1 course on how to DJ with Rekordbox DJ, which is the software all these controllers, including this one here, use. It's called Rekordbox Made Easy. We've got hundreds and hundreds of people who've taken that course and become ninjas on Pioneer's system. So if you want to have a look at that course, it's at djtips.co/RME, Rekordbox Made Easy, djtips.co/RME. And you can also get to that on the courses page on the Digital DJ Tips website. So I'll give you that again at the end if I remember. I quite often forget. Okay, back to talking about the controller. So on YouTube, a few comments coming in. Thanks for the info, says James. Great review, says Xbase. It's good to help you. Data transmission says, great knowledge as usual, Phil. Got to run. Great show, mate. I really appreciate that. William says, I play for 30 minutes on the DDJ-1000 and I fall in love. I switched from tractor to record box. I love the feeling of those jog wheels. Yep. Big difference between the two. So KS says, I want to use this controller with Serato. Is it able to MIDI map it? Great question. A lot of people asking it. Unfortunately, no, neither of these controllers here work with Serato, and I doubt they ever will. I'm kind of leaning towards the 1K, says ES. I'm not sure what you mean there. Eric says, I really like the layout of the DDJ-1000. Would it be worth switching to it from my SX2 and Serato? It's a big switch, Eric. It really is a big switch. I'd say if you're thinking on using Pioneer gear in the clubs, maybe. If not, stick with what you know. It's going to be harder than you think to make that change. A bit like getting divorced and remarried. The mic goes through the DDJ RX2, says Sadiq Cat. Yeah, but it definitely doesn't work with that new feature. We've checked with Pioneer on that one. Can the 800 sequence samples? And if yes, how can you show us it working? Well, we can't show us it working because we ain't got it. And it can do everything this one can do, is what we know at this stage. Obviously, we haven't got it yet, so we'll tell you more at that point. Can I adjust the crossfader curve to scratch if I plug in a turntable? Really, really good point. And I don't think you can on either unit, actually. I might be completely wrong there. It might be that when you've got your laptop plugged in, you can do it in the settings, but I'm not going to pretend I know the answer to that. We'll try and find out for you, Sadiq Cat, and let you know. I'd probably have bought the 800 if it was announced a month earlier. I just bought the XDJ-RR last month, says Mark. Well, it's a different kind of device, isn't it? Because you don't need to use your laptop at all with that one. So I wouldn't worry too much about beating yourself up over that, Mark. It's a good choice for lots of other reasons. Does the large album art in the jogs also show on the DDJ-1000, says Leonard? Yes, I believe that the jogs in here are exactly the same as the jogs on this unit here. Okay, so that's I've caught up there on Facebook. Sorry, on YouTube. Let's head over to Facebook because I want to make sure we've covered everyone over there as well. So let me just get that one open. Hello again, Facebook. Oh, you're all hitting the thumbs up because I'm back with you. That's cool. I love it. Mic inputs on the 800 exactly the same as on the 1000. Matt, you have a look at the replay of this. You probably just missed that bit. So can we win the DDJ-800 or 1000? You know what? I'm pretty sure that later this year you'll be able to. We often have a huge set of prizes from Pioneer as part of our Digital DJ Census in November. So watch out for that. A couple of you asking about the course. I'll just show you that again. It is there. djtips.co/RME if you want to get the record box course that will teach you to be a ninja on all the Pioneer units, past, present and future, that use record box. Okay, I'll leave that there just for 2 seconds while we carry on with these. So James says, are we expecting the price to be similar? I think we've probably answered that. We've given you the price, haven't we, James? Please compare it with the Denon DJ Prime 4. Well, you can't compare them because the Prime 4 is not made to be used with a laptop. So the Prime 4 has got pretty much all the same features on it. It hasn't got the sampler, but it's got pretty much everything else. It's an awesome unit, but that's a different conversation. Okay, so we're talking about the 800 and the 1000 from Pioneer. If you have just tuned in, you missed all the fun, but you can watch a replay of this on YouTube and Facebook. And please do, if you've watched this far and you found this useful, please hit that share button, subscribe to the channel so you can watch these live in the future. It would really help us to do this stuff for you. Hello to Derek. Steve says, I'm going to stick to my tractor setup. That's absolutely great, Steve. I have no issue with you doing that at all. All right then, so loads more comments coming in on Facebook. We don't often see them all on here. Some of them don't arrive till later. So if your comment hasn't been answered, my team will be answering them very shortly. Alton says, only record box compatible, no virtual DJ or Serato? Yes, it's only record box compatible. I guarantee you that virtual DJ will get it working with their software pretty quickly because that's the kind of thing they do. Would you class the Pioneer DDJ-400 as a toy? Well, it's not a toy. It's an incredibly powerful DJ system. I wouldn't use it in a professional environment other than maybe as a backup controller. You know, it's always good to have a backup controller if you're an event DJ or something. You don't want to have no way of getting the music on should your main system break. I think toy's a little bit harsh. It's a beginner controller, it's a value controller. It certainly does more than my record decks ever did all those years ago. Off topic, what camera do you use for Facebook streaming, says Ray? We use Sony A6500s, Ray, which are plugged in via NewTek NDI to Ecamm Live. There you go. Geeking out on you. Serious question, Phil. In your opinion, will we see a CDJ-1000 Nexus Mark III? This is the CDJ-1000 Nexus Mark II that we've been showing you here today. Will we see a Mark III? What's the rest of that question? Do you think they will scrap the CD to bring in a new flagship player? If I had a crystal ball, Steve, but I would imagine that they're going to continue to have the CD slot in it because so many DJs still use CDs. I believe that their new player is going to look more like this kind of thing. The Denon DJ Prime 4s. I think they're going to just get some of the power of the Prime 4s into the new CDJs. That's what I would guess anyway. Okay, guys and girls, I think we've been going on for long enough there. My kids want food and I've got to go to the shops to get it. So I've got to lock up the Digital DJ Tips studio and get out of here now. But if you have got any more questions about the Pioneer DDJ-800 or indeed this one here, the Pioneer DDJ-1000 or any controllers, do give us a shout. You can ask questions underneath this video wherever you're watching it. But today we've been talking about this, the Pioneer DDJ-800. We've given you a rundown of it. We've also compared it to the DDJ-1000 to help you make that choice. This has been Tuesday Tips live from Digital DJ Tips. All that's left for me, Phil Morse, to say is get good, get out there and make the moments, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Till next time, bye-bye.